Hello everybody, and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary, where I do the research to try to teach you a little something about what you're drinking. Tonight I'm going to be expanding upon the line of Speyburn offerings and moving over to the Bradan Orach. It's a Highland Single Malt Scotch, bottled to 80 proof, so let's get into it. If you like reviews, information, or just generally getting to learn more about whiskey, then make sure to hit that subscribe button, that way you never miss an episode. Now, I've already talked about Speyburn in my previous episode on Speyburn 10, which I'll put an annotation up there for you. But if you haven't watched that episode, go ahead and do that. But tonight I'm going to be talking about Bradan Orach. So, other than likely being mispronounced by me, Bradan Orach is Gaelic for golden salmon. And that makes sense. I mean, everything about this bottle actually pretty much screams salmon. So they've got a salmon on the top, Speyburn's logo has a salmon on it, and even the color of this particular whiskey is, I would call that golden. And that all makes sense, because this whiskey was made as a tribute to those who fish the world-class salmon fishing on the River Spey. So, there is no age statement on this whiskey, but because of, kind of like my own experience, the way it tastes and whatnot, I'm going to guess that it's probably roughly about 5 to 6 years and made up of different whiskeys that kind of average that. So, total guess, but whatever. It's aged in ex-bourbon casks in a stone warehouse, just like they've been doing for over 100 years. So, let's get into the nosing and the tasting and see if we can kind of pick out some of the stuff in this whiskey. All right, so let's go ahead and pour ourselves some of this guy. Pop. All right. So, give it a little swirl. And all right, so right away, there's two things that you pick out. You got lemon and green apple. And I gotta say, it's interesting to me that Scotch, in general, single malt Scotch, is always fruity, or at least from this region. I'm not gonna say always, but fruit is just such a huge part of Scotch, as far as in the nose. And I love that about Scotch, especially over bourbon. Bourbon, you get a lot of the same things over and over again: vanilla, cinnamon, caramel. But in Scotch, it's always a different fruit, and I think that's really neat. So anyway. There's a little bit of almost like acetone in there, though. I don't know, that wasn't very pleasant. All right, let's try a sip of this. Cheers. All right, so the taste itself there's a bit of complexity, but initial reaction is not very good. I have tried this before, not a ton, obviously, but I did this on one of my live streams as well, so I did know what to expect when I went into this. But let me first talk a little bit about some of the things that you'll pick up in here, and then we'll talk about maybe why it's not as great. So, the flavors that you're getting right off the bat, if you want to picture having honey, like almost straight out of the bottle, which if you've ever tried that, which I hope you have, or if you haven't, try it, because you're going to see that in some whiskeys. You're going to get, it's almost like a much stronger version of honey, instead of like if you're mixing it into a sauce and putting on some chicken or something like that. It's like a more bold honey, but personally it's not as enjoyable to me. So that's the first thing I get in here. Then there's a little bit of vanilla to back it up, which that's at least enjoyable. And it is creamy. I don't know that I would really say it's super smooth, but it's not harsh either. That honey and maybe mixed almost with like a lemon tea, it's just, to me personally, it's not a great first impression. Let me give it another taste to see if anything else opens up. No, it's pretty much the same. Now I can appreciate that Speyburn offers multiple different things. So they have 4 different mainline offerings. And for a distillery the size of Speyburn, that's great. I love when single malt distilleries, they produce multiple things, because they kind of had to really experiment to get different flavors. Now that being said, this particular offering is not for me, and I'm not sure that it would be for you either. This bottle itself is usually less than $20 or right about. So you're not going to make a huge investment if you do want to try this. And that is what I'm going to recommend this. I'm going to recommend try it. I don't think I will ever buy another bottle of this, whereas I would probably buy another bottle of the Speyburn 10. So let that kind of be my decision here. I would skip this. So anyway, that does it for this episode of the Whiskey Dictionary. Now, before you turn away, I just want to let you know kind of what's going on for the next couple weeks. So, as I've mentioned in the previous episode, I'm trying to get that Speyburn 15, and nowhere near me has it, and it's just coming out now. So, I may or may not be able to get that before the end of November. If I do, I'll do a review on it, probably the last week of November. But what I'm doing next week for Thanksgiving, if you live in the United States, is Wild Turkey 101, because why the heck not? It's a turkey. So if you live in America, go buy one of those bottles, Wild Turkey 101. Heck, if you don't live in America and you can find it, go for it. But, you know, we're going to be having a great time. It's Thanksgiving. Us Americans love to eat. So anybody out there who's not in the USA, you know, join us. You know, eat too much food. You know, it makes you big and strong just like me. So anyway. Get some Wild Turkey 101 so you can join me with next week's review. It's one of those things I haven't really done in a long time. If you've seen some of my original videos, I used to always tell you what I was going to do the next week, and the intent was so that you could drink along with me. I haven't done that really so much lately, so I am going to be doing Wild Turkey 101 next week. I'm also going to be releasing a second video on Wednesday instead of Friday for kind of like a whiskey bar tour. Basically, what do I have in my whiskey cabinet? A bunch of people have been asking me, so I thought it'd be something nice to do as kind of an extra video. I didn't want that to be my video of the week. But that'll come out at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, and then my real review video will come out on Friday at 3 p.m. same time as always. If you have never checked out my Patreon, please go do that. There's a link to it in the description here. I'm not going to push too hard on that, but I will say that there are some cool rewards at certain tiers. So you get everything from early access to videos, to a t-shirt, to even a stylized Glencairn. You know, it says Whiskey Dick on it, and then it's got the Patreon or Patron 2017 on it. So I've actually given out a couple of those already. So it's a pretty cool thing, and I've seen the pictures. They come out great. But anyway, I hope you have a great rest of your night. And for those of you who are celebrating, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, because I probably won't talk to you before then. So, cheers.